Yes.
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 I'm doing yes.
Yes.
Well, this is the first time in several weeks that all three of us have been able to get together.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, man. E3 and Google I/O and
Then vacations and
right vacations. Todd, how was your vacation, man? I haven't
It
talked
was
to you
good.
since.
It was good. I did mostly fishing the entire time.
Oh, I went crabbing.
Nice. I love crabbing too.
It was good, man.
I worked.
Ah.
But in November I'll go on vacation. So
Yeah, there you go.
next week I'm in Irvine. We haven't figured out how we're handling the show next week yet.
That's
But
like vacation too.
oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. Hey, I actually have to like wear normal people clothes.
Go to the office.
Go to the office and
put on pants.
And put on pants and interact with people. And there's no sheets hanging there. And
oh God.
Maybe I should just take the sheet with me and hang it up so I feel like I'm at home.
You're at home.
Exactly. So this week we actually don't have a whole heck of a lot to discuss. I'm sure we will think of some tangents as we go along. But of course the big one is we published our review yesterday of the Samsung Gear Live, the first Android Wear watch. And Todd and I both bought the G Watch from LG.
Yeah.
And mine's here's something telling for you. I'm wearing the Pebble. The G Watch
and I just put this on
its charger.
I put this on for the sake of the show.
Yeah.
Wowza.
Yeah, we're kind of bummed.
Yeah. This, I feel safe in saying this is one of my largest regret purchases ever.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, I wrote an editorial on this yesterday if anybody wants to read it on the site. But basically, I was under the impression that Android Wear had, or was going to soon have, this ecosystem of apps, just like Pebble, that kind of run alone on the watch. But really, they're Android apps with built-in Android Wear support, and there's no consistency to how they work. So you go from one application, all the cooks, I think it's called. I kept saying it was all the recipes. But you can send a recipe down to your watch. Now, that's useful. But then you go to an app like Lyft, and you're supposed to interact with it on the watch by saying, like, call me a ride. But then it crashes if you're not in a Lyft market and you're not sure why. You don't know what's going on. And then there's Eat24, where one would think you could say order food, and that would launch, but it doesn't. And when you try to say start Eat24, it starts the command, and then it pops up with a list of applications. For me, it would bring up B24, and it's just all over the place. I don't even know how to use some of the applications, and I think that was the biggest problem for me.
Yeah, I mean, John, mentioned it in his review that the Gear Live has a button on the side which makes navigation a little bit easier.
Right.
You and I chose the G Watch because of the larger battery.
Right,
which,
exactly.
Yeah, the larger battery's done us a world of good. We still have to charge every 12 hours or so.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to keep it plugged in at night, and then it'll get you through the day, and then you got to plug it in again. Otherwise, you're not getting through the next day.
Well, have you run into this situation yet where you do run out of power?
No. So that's good, but I do charge it every night, so I'm getting through the day.
Yes, but when you do run out of power, there's no way to turn it on but to put it in the cradle.
Right, back on the charger. I read that, and that's wild. But at least I guess our chargers are better than the Samsung one, which is awkward. And I've read reports about, it didn't happen to our unit, but I've read reports about the battery, the charging mechanism getting all messed up and breaking, which is terrible.
Well, apparently on the G Watch, you can there on the back above the charging things. There's the reset button. You can use a paper clip and turn it on that way. But that's because I always have a straightened paper clip with me at all times.
Funny enough, I actually do carry a paper clip very frequently for swapping SIM cards.
That makes sense, but yeah, Joey, you've expressed a lot of interest in the Moto 360. Now that we've had experience with Android Wear, is that interest still there for you?
Well, I think that I really don't. I hope I'm not speaking out of line here with you guys, but I think that you are suffering from the early adopter's curse. You're buying hardware that is arguably very half-baked, and you've bought into it when the third-party development is literally at its lowest point. Like the third-party app selection will never be as bad as it is right now.
That's such a great point.
And that's when you guys generically, not you, Todd. That's when you guys decided that you needed to do your reviews when the user experience was at its worst.
Right.
With that,
well, I think we should revisit this. I mean, and we can in the future.
You have
Definitely.
to. I mean, it's what John, and this is something that the public doesn't know, but John Rettinger and you, Sean, have talked to my department about reviewing the gaming consoles once every year, because they do change. And perhaps Android Wear will deserve a second look in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. Right now, it's like reviewing a roller coaster on the uphill climb. You know what I mean? Like you're not even really getting the full scope of the ride. You've got the initial start. Now, with that said,
we're not even on the uphill climb. We're still in the load line.
right. You've just put that. You've reviewed
getting in the
putting
chair.
that shoulder thing on. That's all you've done.
That's right.
So, with that said, you have quelled my interest in the Moto 360 at the onset. I will not be in line at the beginning. I am still incredibly interested in smartwatches. If I look at the Android that my phone had 5 years ago next to the Android that my phone has today, they're wildly different user experiences. And I think that we expected that same level of polish and design and approach that we have on our phones. I mean, obviously with a different way to interact with it. And when we didn't get it, we're disappointed, as we should be. It is disappointing. And all the hands-on videos I've seen, the way that they behave in sunlight is atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff is making me go, I'm going to wait. I'm not giving up on it yet. I know you guys aren't giving up on it yet, but
No.
the Moto 360 still has my attention. I'm just not going to be in line to get it. I have faith in the genre of product, but I think that we've reviewed it too early. The Earth has reviewed it too early because it's just not. These opinions. They're not that useful yet. You know what I mean?
It does certainly take time.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you look at the Pebble when it first came out, it was very limited. Now you can do pretty much anything with it.
Sean, what would you give the Pebble today versus what would you have given it, just on a 10-point scale, when it first launched?
When it very first launched, I probably would give it like a 5 or a 6, and now I'd definitely give it an 8.
See, and how many years are we talking about here?
Todd, what year did the Pebble launch?
I don't know. Not that long ago, right? I mean, I bought mine probably a little over a year ago.
So
looking it up right now.
That's the difference in improvement that a
released
small
in
company,
2013.
There you go. So a small company like Pebble brought their own device up 3 points for Sean. What do you think Google's going to do? You know? I
mean, a lot, and I think that's what I was trying to say in the editorial yesterday. Like, it's certainly going to take time because you look at the Pebble, and I'm looking at the specs right now. This thing has like a CPU I've never heard of, 128 kilobytes of memory.
A CPU I've never. It's like you're describing the stats of a printer right now.
Right, exactly. And this just goes to show. And the Pebble right now is super, super powerful. Now, the smartwatches that we have, the G Watch and the Gear Live, have Snapdragon 400 processors. Like, Snapdragon 400 processor powers the Desire 610, the Lumia 635, like all these smartphones. So there's a lot of unused power, I think.
There's a ton of unused power in this.
Yeah,
so I think
there, you know.
That's going to change, you know.
Well, you know, and it's a good analogy, Joey, about going back and looking at the game consoles a year down the road, you know, and you compare what was at the launch of, say, the Xbox One on launch day compared to a year from now, and it could change your opinion greatly.
It already has. They already have with software updates. Microsoft and Sony have both been crushing it. Microsoft especially has been going every single month. The Xbox One from launch versus the one that we have today is already different.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I'm not going to sell off my G Watch. I'm going to keep it around. But for right now, I'm still going to wear the Pebble instead. And the G Watch will just, you know, whenever I hear there's a massive update, I'll give it another look and see if my opinion's changing.
I will say this: these two watches have piqued my interest for the Pebble. I mean, that's a side effect I think that Pebble's pretty excited about, but
you know, and I have to say, I mean, when we first saw the Android Wear launch at Google I/O, I was like, you know, poor Pebble, you know, what's going to happen to him, especially with the iWatch coming as well. And I have to agree with you, Joey. I think it actually Android Wear ended up being a boost for Pebble.
How many videos have you seen, or videos, pictures, anything, articles that have the Android Wear devices, the G and the Gear Live right next to Pebble, and the screens are like, this is the Pebble, you can read the numbers. Here are these screens, and you can't see anything. Like,
and you can do a lot with this, and you can't with this yet. I think, yeah, it's great advertising almost.
I mean, unintentional advertising.
Right.
I'm sure Pebble's like, yes.
No, it's an excellent point, and you know, I'm definitely, you know, now I've even went, maybe I should get a Pebble Steel now. You know,
right.
Yeah.
That's a side effect of the G Watch. You know,
Right.
it's just, yeah, I mean, the sunshine issue is unbelievable. I mean, I'm sorry, I can only really use my watch inside.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
You know, that's insanity to me. But it is what it is. But yeah, I do think Android Wear is going to improve as it goes down the road.
Sorry, guys.
I love the
Moto X noise.
considering how much power is in the G Watch and in the Gear Live. Like you said, Todd, it's running Snapdragon 400 processors.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of untapped power. It's a lot of untapped potential. You look at the number of Android Wear apps. I'm using that loosely because they're not Android Wear apps yet.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of room for growth here. And Joey, you're 100% right. We're suffering from early adopter regret.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yep.
I'm on for the roller coaster ride. Let's see where it goes. Now, that being said, I think there are some definite physical design issues.
I just want to go back to that roller coaster metaphor. Imagine if you're on a roller coaster.
You guys love the roller coaster.
And you're the guy getting strapped in, and there's a dude next to you going, "This sucks." That's you guys right now.
This ride sucks.
This ride sucks. We haven't even started.
Oh, I'm gonna go do that somewhere.
Oh man.
I may be going to Disneyland this weekend, so I'll stand outside the Haunted Mansion in the line going, "This ride sucks." I know we haven't even gotten in the stretching room yet. This ride sucks.
Oh god.
Which is even funnier since it's my all-time favorite ride. So, Sachin Bahal had asked a question about, hey, Sean, how does your LG G watch compare to your Pebble, and can Pebble still compete with the new Android Wear watches? Yes, it can. And, the fact that we're all discussing that maybe this was the best thing that ever happened to Pebble, I think that tells you how they compare. It's a really interesting side effect. Now, all this being said, do you guys think that, and Todd, we'll start with you, does Apple have enough time to learn any lessons from Android Wear? Not saying that they were going to have problems, but do they have enough time to go, oh, maybe we need to change this?
Well, you have to wonder how the strategy is going to go, right? Are they going to follow the strategy that Pebble has done and Sony has done and Samsung has done, where on the watch itself you can go and launch these apps by tapping, which I like a lot? Or are they going to go voice only with some kind of Siri, Google Now approach, which is what you have with Android Wear, and you're supposed to use your voice a lot more often, which I find less appealing. I just want to tap around and get the sports scores or whatever, and instead of asking. So I think if Apple's learning any lessons, it should be to provide options. And that's why the Android Wear Mini, I think the Mini Launcher, I think I said it's called, is an awesome third-party app for Android Wear, and I think it's a must-have. You can swipe from the corner of the screen, bring up all the apps, and then it makes accessing stuff a little easier. So a full-fledged sort of launcher would be ideal too.
Am I the only one that, and maybe I just want to ask, am I the only one who feels like a drunk, slurring idiot every time he says "Okay, Google Now"?
No, it's so weird. It's like, "Okay, Google." Well, on your phone, because you have the Moto X, "Okay, Google Now" is the command to wake it up.
Oh, yeah, I know, but
on most other Android devices, it's just "Okay, Google."
I can't even do it.
You can't even do it. "Okay, Google Now."
Okay, Google Now. Hey. It did.
Okay, Google is bad enough, but okay, Google Now is.
Well, when I was on vacation with my friends, last week, and I kept unlocking my watch. And if you say "Okay, Google," it starts activating. So people are yelling across the room like, "Okay, Google. Okay, Google." Trying to
pictures of butts. Pictures of butts.
Pictures of butts. Yeah.
I don't know. I think. I mean, we really don't know what the interface is going to be on the iWatch. Although we've heard all these.
Is there an iWatch, you guys?
Is there?
That's the question.
I am going to unequivocally say that it is definitely in development. I can't say for sure it's going to launch this fall, but there is no question in my mind that it is in development.
Is this horse going to run as fast as the unicorn we've heard about? That's the question that I want to know.
I mean, this thing is supposed to be the best thing in the world at this point. So
right, so
monitor every piece of your health. I mean, how tall did I grow today?
I hesitate getting excited. Sean, my point is I hesitate getting excited about a product that doesn't exist, and I don't. It might exist internally at Apple. I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
I totally agree, and I'm not trying to build up excitement around the iWatch, but with everything that's gone on and with how Android Wear has been received, I'm just curious. Apple's hired a gajillion people to work on this thing apparently.
Someone says there were. Hold on. Okay, Google. Okay, Google.
Are we
Someone's
activating their phone? That's awesome. Xbox on.
Stop it!
Did it work?
No.
It's like that blasted Aaron Paul commercial.
That doesn't do anything to my Xbox.
It doesn't to mine either. My Kinect sits right in front of the television.
Right. I have to think that if Apple actually has an iWatch, and that's a giant if from Joey Davidson, the executive editor of Gaming. So don't call me an authority here because I'm not. That's my point. If Apple has an iWatch, I wonder if they've been waiting for Android Wear to roll off just to see like what the reception's been. Is it worth our time to put this out? Is there a market for this? Maybe they're waiting for Google and everyone else to test the waters before jumping in themselves. Maybe. Or maybe they're going to stick with phones because they're incredibly popular and profitable for them. You know, does Apple need that? Need that watch market share? Do they even need it?
If it's there for the taking.
I do want to address, who was it? Was it Katie Huberty the other day predicted 60 million units in the first year?
Yeah, okay.
For the iWatch? There is no way.
That's as many, what was that? That's as many iPhones as Apple sold in the first year, so.
Yeah, no way. None.
Yeah.
She attributed to the halo effect, aka the fanboy effect. Like, all these Apple fans are just going to go out and buy it. And that was at $300 price point, too, which I cited in a different study, or in a different report. Nielsen said, what was it, 64% of wearable buyers think that the price range between $200 and $300 is already too expensive. So, and that's people who own wearables. So you have to imagine they're probably not going to spend that much more. And then you got to look at the people who already don't own a wearable because it's too expensive. So at $300, 60 million units, that's a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's the idea that 60 million was even brandied about. I'm just like,
Right. But I mean, people said tablets weren't going to be popular either, and they said the iPad was an oversized iPod Touch, and the iPhone really broke it. I mean, changed the market. We all had regular phones, and now we all have smartphones. And I think, in a lot of ways, if Apple does it better than somebody else, or if Google does it better, then we'll start to see these become more mainstream products. But right now, it's obviously pretty much a geek toy.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a geek toy.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I think wearables do have a future. I think I think we've got a lot of companies racing forward to have their foot in that door, and they weren't ready to put their foot in that door.
Maybe.
Right. But with watches, though, too, you face obstacles that you didn't face with smartphones, right? Like I have my favorite watch is one my wife bought me for my wedding, so it has sentimental value. So for a lot of reasons, I might not buy other watches or wear other watches, and I think a lot of people might have that too. They have a watch they got for retirement or other things. And so you didn't face that in the smartphone industry or with the tablets because people didn't have sentimental value attached to things, let alone the jewelry factor and fashion. And a $300 watch in some circles might make you look poor because it's not a Rolex. You know what I'm saying?
I do agree with you, Sean. And I think that there's also that whole market gap of people that just literally don't want to have their stuff stolen from them right off their wrist.
Yeah, that's it.
People who live in cities are hesitant to use their cell phone on trains sometimes. Smartphones on trains sometimes. So why rock a $300 watch that can be easily identified and yanked off your wrist?
I've run the picture one time on TechnoBuffalo ages ago of a sign I saw in a neighborhood in London a couple years back. And it showed the silhouette of somebody walking down the street with an iPod and another guy like in a big puffy jacket staring at him. And it was just on silhouettes and it said, "They want your pod." And it was right outside the police station.
Well, New York used to issue warnings on stuff like that. It probably still does.
Yeah, but it's just that always, so next they'll be putting, "They want your watch."
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy, but in New York on the subways back when the iPod was still coming out and was super popular, like they would warn against the white earbuds because it sort of told everybody.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Basically, wearing those earbuds, you were like signaling yourself as someone who had something expensive,
like an iPhone or an iPod. Yeah.
Right, instead of a sweet Walkman.
Yeah, the
CD player.
Yeah. The bootleg earpods off of eBay for $1.49.
Right.
Right. I'm wearing fluorescent green earbuds.
Mine are red. They came with the HTC M8.
Oh, the Harman Kardon ones?
No. These aren't even those. Those I didn't find very good. They're too the cord's too stiff.
Oh, okay. The deep discussions that we get in at technology office.
Yeah, right.
I find this cord to be too stiff. Right? It's
It's annoying.
just not working for me, guys.
So
Oh, God.
Oh, good grief. Well, moving on to some other questions that have come in. Here's one from Sasha Bahal about what are some features of Android Wear that you like, and what are ones that you could do without, and what about features that you would like to see in a future update? I think, Todd, we're in agreement. Apps on the watch.
Right. And you get that with the Wear Mini Swipe.
Which I still need to download.
Yeah, it's cool, but like other things too, like Fit is stupid because it's incorrect all the time. Like I can take steps, probably just steal this.
Yeah, the pedometer.
Yeah,
thing is
we want to get back into that conversation.
I know. I'm trying very carefully how I pronounce that.
Like it's just not my thing. Like I don't say like take a note, feed the dog. Like who does that? Nobody does these things. So, like they sound so cool when an engineer's on stage. Like take a note, pick up milk, but nobody does that. You forget the milk. That's what you do.
Yeah. No.
Or you write it down on a piece of paper, which is.
And I'm sorry. It does feel silly going. Okay, Google.
It does. Let's see if okay, Google.
What's that report from the police station? This is Dick Tracy. I'm on my way.
Yeah, right. Like, here's what you can do. Show me my steps, agenda, set a timer, start stopwatch, set an alarm, show alarms, settings, and start. And, like, you have to dig into that menu to get to start, to get to the apps, unless you say start, and then the name of the app. It's just so silly.
No, but like Joey said...
I think somebody wrote a report at Google I/O or after Google I/O saying that Google's engineers are designing things for Google engineers. Like, you have to wonder, like...
There's something to that, yeah.
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 Like, you need consumer testing with this stuff.
No, but Joey's right. You and I are the idiotic guys on the roller coaster going, this ride sucks.
Yeah, I know, it's true. I mean, I bought it the second it was available for Google Play. I bought it.
Right.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see where it goes. We're just commenting and answering that question.
Yeah,
Sean, just to kind of derail the conversation, someone on YouTube is asking us to talk about Apple and IBM.
Oh.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff. That broke, at, I don't know, 4:30 yesterday?
Yeah,
Tim Cook was on CNBC.
This happened after I was off the clock, so I don't even know anything about it. I'm not...
Oh, well.
Well...
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So
Here we go.
CNBC had sort of the exclusive interview with Tim Cook. I just happened to have the TV on. We were watching because Yahoo earnings came out. And so they were talking about this new partnership between IBM and Apple, and Tim Cook was saying it was a natural fit, how he'd actually been working with IBM for a couple of years, and now it's the right time to do this. And it's Apple's big step into the enterprise. And as a result, I mean, it looks like a shot across BlackBerry's bow, right? Because BlackBerry has been sort of the enterprise king, along with Microsoft in a lot of ways. And now,
what are they trying to do with IBM though?
IBM's going to provide a special suite of applications built like security and business applications, and it's also going to sell these devices directly to its customers, provide a back-end device management solutions, which is similar to what BES is, BlackBerry Enterprise Server, what that allows. So really, this is like Apple's huge step into the enterprise, where like companies, instead of a lot of companies already have BYOD initiatives where you bring your own device to work, and it could be an iPhone or an Android or whatever. But there are still lots of companies that still. My brother works for a bank, for example. They still issue BlackBerries. So now this is a potential for IBM to go to its customers, who might already be these banks, and say, "Hey, we have the iPhones. We can sell them to you directly. We'll get you guys all set up and kind of do it that way." Which I think is a huge step for Apple.
Is this Apple's attempt to plant a flag in the ground and maybe claim some of that enterprise workspace from Microsoft as well?
Oh yeah. And the thing is, Apple has said, and Tim Cook clarified this yesterday too, it's already in like 90% of the global Fortune 500 companies, so it's already there, but this is a huge step to sort of deploy its devices, including iPads, to the enterprise.
Well, and the big
as a result, BlackBerry stock's down, and Apple and IBM are up, and it was...
Yeah, BlackBerry's going to be feeling the squeeze from this big time.
Yeah, it was
BlackBerry,
down 4% this morning.
Well, now it's down 8.1%, Todd.
That's scary for them. You have probably two of the market leaders getting together and literally saying, BlackBerry, you're donezo.
Well, the funny thing...
Go on, sorry.
Did you see, Todd, yesterday how many people posted the old picture of Steve Jobs standing under the IBM logo and flipping it off?
No, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's an old picture because when he first started Apple with Wozniak, that was his big thing. He hated IBM.
Yeah. That
Well,
picture.
the IBM of the early '90s and late '80s is very different than the IBM of today. I mean,
Oh,
the
yeah.
IBM back then made computers, like consumer computers.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
He
no.
sold that to Lenovo.
yeah,
Right.
no, it's a completely different company now, and so yeah, I mean, yes, everyone had their good chuckles out of posting that picture, but that's like
You should have done that
comparing apples to oranges, literally. It's just two completely different worlds and mindsets at that time.
Yeah.
But this is a huge move for Apple, because Apple to this point has been viewed as a consumer company,
Right.
and
Yeah,
people
even when it's tried to say like exactly, and even when it's tried to say like our devices are in the enterprise because they are, it sort of always came back, well, but still there's other options, and now sort of IBM is like enterprise. I mean, that's what you immediately think of. So that's
Yeah.
pretty huge.
No, this was a big move for Apple, and kudos to them. BlackBerry though, I mean, this may have been the death blow.
It makes you wonder. I mean, they're still going to hype their security up, which IBM's obviously doing the same thing. I mean, they said security 1,000 times yesterday on the interview, but BlackBerry is still going to hype their security. They're pushing forward. I mean, today we saw BlackBerry Assistant. I almost let out a chuckle there. I mean, it's getting to the point where you have to wonder what their strategy is. I mean, when Apple's getting into their core space,
Yeah, that's got to be scary for
Enterprise.
BlackBerry.
which already
yeah.
sort of happened, obviously, with the device.
Massively, yeah. I mean, hey, BlackBerry has the Passport coming.
Yeah, which they pushed today with BlackBerry Assistant, their new Siri competitor.
Never
Which, I
mind.
mean, we were commenting, like, BlackBerry Assistant, who's sitting around like, let's come up with something, BlackBerry Assistant, that sounds snappy.
I mean, it makes sense in the business world.
Yes, exactly. That's what Sean and I said. It does.
Yeah, exactly. It does make sense. And BlackBerry is very much an enterprise company, and we understand, you don't have, snappy names in corporate, but still, when you're a company that's in this much trouble, you put a little bit of effort into the name, do something.
Right.
But,
And they revealed it, but held off on like explaining all that it can do, which makes it seem like a watered down version of all the competitors. It's like it's an assistant that can schedule things for you and read your emails, but like, can it tell me a sports score, and does it use Google to query that, or Bing, or something else? Like, how does it work? And we didn't really get that explanation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't played with BlackBerry 10.3. I know there's leaked builds out there, so I'm sure somebody out there knows how to use it.
Well, next week is the show to end all shows for the year, even though it's not technically in our field, San Diego Comic-Con, where all of the geeks shall migrate to, as if going to the Holy Land. And actually, for the first time in 18 years, God, it has been 18 years.
That's
For the first time in 18 years, I'm going just for one day, but it'll be interesting
This is
to
your
see.
first Comic-Con?
No, this is my first one in 18 years. I went
Oh,
92.
in 18.
Yeah, I went 92 through 95 every
I was
year.
like, didn't you own a store?
No, I owned a store, plus I was working for like Wizard Magazine or Combo Magazine at the time. So for me, it actually was a work trip the 5 times I went. But one question here from Sasha Bahal related to a story yesterday about, hey, Sean, what do you think of the new Thor? They made Thor female. I mean, at one point, Thor was a frog in the 80s.
Really?
Yes. And they called him the Thunder Frog. Don't go any deeper there. At one point, he was replaced by an alien named Beta Ray Bill. So the way Marvel will do this is by the time the second Avengers movie comes out, it'll be back to the Thor we all know, because when somebody walks into a comic shop having seen the second Avengers movie, they're going to want to buy a book with that Thor. They're not going to want to buy a book with a female Thor. So they'll split female Thor off into her own book, and main Thor will be back.
Who's writing it? Is it Gail Simone? She does a lot of the.
I believe it is
stuff.
Gail Simone. I believe so. There's every chance it's going to be a good story. I have no problems with them going down this road, but I also have been around the comic industry long enough to know this is very temporary.
I want to see who's the author. That's what
just go over to Marvel.com. They've got a page up there that lists all the staff on it.
Thor is kind of a manly name, all right? Like, would you date a woman named
Well,
Thor?
I mean, if you go back into the Norse mythology, yes, Thor was always a male, but it's Marvel, and apparently tonight on the Colbert Report, Joe Quesada, the editor-in-chief of Marvel, is going to announce another new title in a bold new direction for Marvel because I've never heard that before. Having worked in the industry.
It's Jason Aaron.
Jason Aaron? Okay, I'm not even familiar with him.
He's been working on Thor for a little while. I don't know if he was right after Straczynski or not, but
yeah. I haven't followed Thor in a long time.
Thor was pretty awesome there for a stint. When J. Michael Straczynski was doing it, it was pretty exceptional. I don't know about Jason Aaron, so.
Yeah, Thor's been one of those characters I just kind of float in and out on throughout the years. I don't think I've ever done a big long run with Thor like I did with, like, say, Peter David on the Hulk or something. But wow, that got really geeky there for a minute.
Way over.
I knew. Dominique Weber wants to know how accurate is the pedometer compared to the pedometer. I haven't driven by a school with the G-Watch yet.
Tried that yet.
Yeah,
Pedometer.
I'll drive by a school here in the near future. And
it's almost lunchtime.
Oh, God, stop.
Oh, I didn't mean I was going to eat the children.
If it's anywhere as accurate as the pedometer, it's not very accurate.
Right, yeah.
Oh, I tried so hard.
The worst is, like, I was wearing this, and I had my Galaxy S5, I think I had it linked up to, and, like, they're both telling me different steps, and I was just like, oh, these things. What's the point? There's no point if it's wrong.
Here's another question. This one's for you, Joey, from Dominique Weber. Thoughts on the Assassin's Creed movie?
The movie? I am paying it no mind. There's my thought. I don't. Video game movies don't register for me. They never have. They probably never will. I recognize that some fans get super excited for them, and that's really cool. The only one that's even on my radar is Uncharted, and that's simply because I think it's the series that is most adaptable to film. Movies and games are wildly different beasts, and one of the reasons why Assassin's Creed is so thrilling as a game is because planning an assassin, climbing a building, and then jumping off of it and killing some European dude is awesome. It's like a really awesome feeling, and I don't know if they'll be able to take that feeling and translate it into a movie. I don't know if that being able to do it yourself is part of the thrill. Seeing it on the screen, I'm just like,
It's kind of like.
If they ever need to rebrand the series, I really want them to talk to you, Joey. I want it to be called Kill Some European Dudes.
European Killing Simulator. Historical European Killing Simulator.
Exactly. It's a whole new genre.
Isn't it just Zorro?
Kind of Zorro, but like Zorro could jump from roofs. That's
right.
I mean, it's exciting. I'm excited for them. I'm more inclined to get excited about something like Uncharted, which is pretty much just Indiana Jones with more guns. That's all it is. So.
I've never played any of the Silent Hill series, but I watched the first movie, and as a movie, it was enjoyable.
See, that's just. You're talking about a series that I'm not into and a franchise of films that I'm not into. So
no, the second movie was horrible. The first movie I actually enjoyed. It was entertaining, But then, every once in a while, one day I was surfing on cable and I saw Dead or Alive was coming on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, why not? I'll watch this. I was like, oh God, make it stop.
What a film that was.
Just make it stop. Kind of like the Mortal Kombat movies.
Hey, no, yeah.
I think it's hard to like any movie after watching Pitch Perfect. But that's just me.
That was the most random.
It's funny. I just looked at my phone and the Google Play Store is there, and
Well, Todd, that's just awesome. So.
Oh man.
There's so many good lines in that movie.
Oh.
And they're filming a sequel right now.
Are they really?
They are. Yeah, I've heard that too.
Oh,
Pitch Perfecter.
I believe it's just Pitch Perfect 2, but...
Too pitch, too perfect.
Too pitch, too perfect.
I'm sorry, anytime there's any movie with a 2 in it, I just immediately go Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
It's ingrained into me to just say whatever 2, Electric Boogaloo. But... oh my. Anyway, a question from the Killing Machine. What do you guys think about the iPhone 6? Do you guys think it's worth the upgrade, and what is your favorite spec about it? We can't answer that. Yeah, we have a dummy unit at the office, but I mean, we don't know the definite specs. We don't know any of the definite features. I mean, yeah,
except for iOS 8.
Yeah, except for iOS 8. Yeah,
but I mean, if you own an iPhone now and you're waiting to upgrade to an iPhone, you should certainly wait.
Well, but there's the big question, though. Okay, if you're on a 5S, definitely no, it's too soon. If you're on a 5, maybe. anything before the 5, yeah, more whatever. If you want to stay in the iPhone ecosystem, if you've got a 4 or 4S, then definitely you're going to want to consider the 6.
Not even the 6 necessarily, but you should wait until it's unveiled to make your decision, because as soon as the 6 comes out, regardless of how good or bad it is, the prices on the other phones are going to plummet. So at this point, it's worth your time to wait no matter what.
Definitely. Yeah, if you want to stay in the iOS ecosystem, then you just don't even want to consider a phone for the next few months.
Yeah.
Even if you drop your current one into a vat of lava, I wouldn't. I will live without a phone until that unveiling.
My buddy just did that. He went in the pool with his iPhone 5S and had to go get another 5S. And he used like somebody on his family plan's contract.
Someone asked on the YouTube channel, would it be good for Sony and Microsoft to make a console together? And I obviously said not for consumers. I say obviously because I know that that's what Sean and I would both say. And then they asked why. I mean, you don't want two of the leading marketplace manufacturers making a machine together because it removes drive to excel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Competition for the marketplace is always a good thing.
Impressive. Right, exactly. Maybe the initial design is impressive, but if sorry, if essentially you're removing the whole excuse for them to improve. Without any competition, there's no reason to make a better machine. There's no reason to have PlayStation Plus. There's no reason to have the games with gold. There's no reason for them to vie over exclusives and create more technically pushing graphical powerhouses of games. It's just the whole drive for that stops. You want more than one company operating in a single space because it's good for consumers.
Yeah.
The initial greatness of having one console under one banner might be great, but that would dim quickly. So you don't want them teaming up. That's no good.
That's what forces Google and Apple and Microsoft to release new operating systems every year.
Right, they have to. You have to stay on the front side, and if you don't, you lose consumers. It's competition. That's the way it works.
Yep. Entirely. I'm catching up on the last season of South Park, and I'm up to the episodes where they did a Game of Thrones parody based around the PS4 and the Xbox One. And the kids are going to war over which one will be the console to rule them all.
Yeah.
It's quite something. Anyway, I think that will bring this week's episode to a close. Do you guys have any final thoughts?
No, I'm just checking the comments one more time, make sure we got everybody, but...
Alrighty then.
That's it for me.
All right. As always, we appreciate you joining us. You can find the TechnoBuffalo Show on iTunes, where we do appreciate if you rate and review us. You can also find us on RSS feed. You can find us on the Stitcher app. You can find us on Pocket Cast. Anywhere there's a podcast, you can find the TechnoBuffalo Show. Until next time, I'm Sean Awning. I'm the editor-in-chief of TechnoBuffalo. I've been joined by executive editor of Mobile, Todd Hazelton.
Bye, everybody.
And executive editor of Gaming, Joey Davidson.
See you guys.
Until next time, take it easy, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.